Hi, I'm John, and welcome to Dice Paper Miniatures. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about two topics. The first of which is, for those that follow the channel, you may have noticed I've been gone for about a month. I want to talk about that. And then second, I want to talk about what my plans are for the future of the channel. Alright, so with that said, here we go. So, first things first, I want to talk about mainly where I've been gone for the last month. So, some of my friends that follow the channel already know this, of course, and if you follow me on some of my social media, you may have seen a post about this. But late September, my father passed away, and he'd been sick for quite some time, about 15 years, struggling with a number of different medical issues. But ultimately, it wasn't due to anything with the pandemic, but he was in a nursing home right before the pandemic hit. So I was unable, and my mother as well. We had been unable to see my father for about 8 months, and he had been in and out of the hospital. But with the rules now with how things are done with the pandemic, uh, only one person could see my father once per day. So that had been an ongoing thing since February, which was about the time I really made a push to get the channel going. Once my father was in a nursing home, that allowed me to have a little bit more free time, which allowed me to pursue this channel. This channel actually was something I wanted to start back when I first started working with Punch It Entertainment, which was a company at the time I had co-founded and had started the Battle for Solaria trading card game. That was back in 2012, 2013. It's about the time I really wanted to start this channel as well, but I kind of put it on hold. One, because that particular project was taking a lot of time, and then my father's health had been increasingly getting worse around that time as well. So there was a real balancing act between family issues, that business venture, and then just my normal work that I do for a living. So fast forward until the start of this year, major plans to get this channel going, which included a website, also getting prepped for doing streaming on Twitch. So I had a lot of things kind of all up in the air, moving at the same time. But once my mother and I were able to get my father into a nursing home, that allowed me to pursue the channel a little bit more regularly and consistently. But there was also a lot of things going on behind the scenes to try to figure out how to manage the cost for that. And so things were kind of working out for the most part okay. But my dad had been sick for about 15 years, as I mentioned. And there were a lot of times where finances got kind of tight. And we always kind of figured out a way to work through it. So moving forward, he was in a nursing home because of COVID. We couldn't see him. That kind of added some family stress, of course, which I try to mitigate, not really talk about too much publicly. Of course, close friends and family knew what was going on. And then also, I didn't really feel comfortable talking about it much publicly either, because with the pandemic, everyone had their own personal issues to deal with, whether it was with work, with their family, both, etc. Some weirdness too kind of it kind of forced my mom to take an early retirement. She did hair for a living and they closed salons, so that kind of escalated some of the tension. It also meant that my goal for the channel, kind of transitioning to what my goals for the future are, but not to get ahead of myself. My goals for the channel was to do more creative ventures, more painting, which my main videos were for painting. But I also ended up doing a lot more just like reviews and video game type stuff on Twitch. And that wasn't quite the goal. Like that was going to be content I had for Twitch, but I wasn't going to do that quite as much as I did. And the reason why I did some of those reviews and videos, video game review and video game plays type content, was because, well, frankly, they were just easier and didn't require as much planning and work, especially on the back end for editing. Some of these painting videos took quite a bit of editing on the back end. And with trying to help with financial stuff here at home, helping with my mother and my father, that made that difficult to produce that content in a timely manner. So I noticed my channel was kind of going in a direction I was not entirely wanting it to go, at least not in the beginning. So, and granted, this is a real small channel. At the time of this recording, I have around 50 subscribers. So the likelihood of too many people seeing this is still pretty slim, but this is kind of for my own, uh, you know, my own personal kind of getting past this and moving forward kind of thing. So, back in August, we were able to visit my father. They had like outdoor visits for like 30 minutes. So we saw him once back in August. And then we thought things were going pretty good for the most part. The last 15 years, there was probably always one or two scares with my father as far as his health taking a turn for the worse, but he always pulled through it. And we kind of felt like this was a similar situation. We were coming into mid-September. There was a scare early September, but by mid-September, things were going pretty good. And then so much so that my mother and I decided to visit some family that we hadn't seen in a couple years out in Colorado. So we went out to Colorado, visited some family, and then we came back, and the next thing we knew, my dad was back in the hospital with pneumonia. And then it turned out that he had one of his health issues was COPD. And so ultimately, he just wasn't able to get enough oxygen, and he was put on a ventilator for a while. Again, not pandemic related, but was on a ventilator. And it got to the point where we had to make some difficult decisions. And he ultimately decided he didn't want to stay on the ventilator. Without getting too specific, he decided that he just wanted to, that was his decision to not stay on the ventilator. And for those that are familiar with those kind of circumstances, it's kind of like a hospice care situation. He was just basically given regular oxygen and and basically morphine. And we thought he's again typically a fighter, but after a couple days of that, he just couldn't stay with us anymore, and he passed away. So even though we knew that was a thing that was coming and we tried to plan for that because of the pandemic and things like that, it definitely made it difficult, especially for him being in the nursing home for as long as he was. We actually thought he had been in a nursing home previously, and through physical therapy, he was able to kind of get back and come back home, but that didn't work out this time. So it was a lot of this last month was rapidly planning for the funeral, helping my mom transition some personal matters and things like that. We had a garage sale, had a number of other types of estate type sales. And I think everything for the most part is kind of settled, and trying to kind of work through it for the most part. And I think everything will work out. Now, for those that are subscribers, I do have a GoFundMe, basically to help with my mom with some of the existing medical stuff. If you're able to help with that, that's awesome. But I mention it. It's a little bit awkward to mention. I will be fair and honest about it, but I also have to. The reality of it is there are still a few hurdles, and some of you have whether on Twitch you've contributed, or I've had some Patreon subscribers in the past. Again, this being a small channel, it's never been a huge thing, but if you're able to take a look at it, great. I'll have a link in the description below, but if not, totally understand. I only wanted to mention all this because I didn't put all this effort to get this channel up and rolling. And I think prior to my dad's passing, I was releasing up to 3, sometimes 5 videos a week. And then that just kind of came to a halt, like full stop. And I felt like I wanted to make more announcements, but I also didn't want to give any false promises either as to when the channel was going to start back up. So that being said, also we kind of came up on the election recently, and I was kind of caught up in some of that chaos as well. But now, the elections are technically done. I'm not distracted so much by that. I also had a lot of contract work that was kind of piling up because of the funeral and whatnot. So I think everything's settled and able to move forward now. I feel pretty confident about that. And so that kind of leads me into, again, what the goals are for the channel moving forward. Now, assuming no other major life issues pop up, I really want to get back on track with creating content that's a little bit more specific to the hobby as far as painting, miniatures, modeling, terrain, as well as 2D work. Like I wanted to do some illustration and painting, just flat work here on the channel as well, related to the hobby, of course. As you can see, I have a new sweater. That was one of the cool things that happened during this time. For those that are into Warhammer 40K, you'll probably recognize this sweater. This is one of those. They had the good guys, the Space Marines type sweater, and then they had the Chaos Marine sweater. Unfortunately, there was a new Warhammer store that opened up in my town, which is pretty exciting. But they had a huge line on opening day, and all the Chaos sweaters sold out. So maybe someday I'll get a Chaos one. But for now, I got the Smurf sweater. So there's that. Fits pretty good. If you ever get one of these sweaters and you're in the US, you might want to consider getting a size that's about 1 or 2 sizes larger than you normally buy, because these things are cut real small. I normally wear like a large, and this is like a 2XL. But it fits great. But yeah, so there was a new Warhammer store that opened in my town, and so that was really cool. That's actually kind of we've had a number of hobby stores and comic shops in the last 20 to 30 years here in my town open and close. And I always thought it would be cool if we ever got, like at the time, a Games Workshop, but now they're just called Warhammer. If we ever got a Warhammer store. So I was pretty flabbergasted, to say the least, that I knew there was one coming pre-pandemic, but I didn't know if that was still going to happen. And it did. So that's awesome. It opened up back in just a couple weeks ago, mid to late October. So that's cool. It's not super close to where I live, but it's close enough. I mean, it's a small enough town. Nothing's more than 20, 30 minutes away. So that's cool. We also have one in another town about 45 minutes away in Omaha. So, I've been going there a couple times, but definitely having one here in Lincoln will be a lot more convenient. In any event, yeah, so the content for the channel is going to be basically getting back on track. I'll still do some article reviews from the Warhammer community, of course. I'll still do some product reviews from Games Workshop. I've had to dial back some of the game content I was going to cover. I was going to do more with things like I will do things with Gasland. Let me back that up. I was going to do some things with Guild Ball, but Guild Ball announced, I think it was shortly before my dad passed away, I think Steamforge announced that game was basically coming to an end. And I kept stuff I basically had started working on, but I had this previous Black Friday sale, and the year before that, I had pretty much everything for that game. And it's unfortunate that it had to go the way it went. Our community kind of shrank for that game about 2 years ago as well. So I'm not entirely surprised, but I thought it would be some fun content, just as kind of like a throwback Thursday or Tuesday type content. And but at the end of the day, I decided to move a lot of that stuff on eBay. And so there's that. And then there was some other game systems that I was going to feature on the channel as well that I basically had to kind of hit the eject button on. I'm going to focus mostly on Games Workshop stuff, Gaslands, and that's probably the only other outside GW thing. So it'll be Warhammer 40K type stuff, but mostly for Kill Team, or if I do the new 9th edition, it'll just be for like the patrol size skirmishes. And then Warhammer Underworld still. There's a new expansion coming out. I forget the name of that. We're on Beastgrave right now. It's whatever is after Beastgrave. And then the new Warcry Catacombs just came out last week. I unfortunately didn't get my box yet. It came in at the store I typically go to, which is like 5 minutes away. It's an independent retailer, but the box was like crushed in the corner, so I got a new one coming for that. But so Warcry content, Warhammer Underworlds, either Death Watch or straight up 40k, or excuse me, Kill Team, not Death Watch. And then I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Yeah, Gaslands. That's probably going to be it. I do have Blackstone Fortress still. I don't know if I'll cover that too much. Blood Bowl for sure, especially with Blood Bowl second season coming out. We just had a local tournament for that. Missed it because of the family stuff going on, but I plan on getting back into our local league for that, so I'm really excited about that. I'm sure there's probably something else I'm forgetting, but those are the core games I want to focus on for the channel. But again, a lot of painting, a lot of art, some reviews for those games, some reviews for the content or products related to those games. And then, of course, I still will do the Twitch stuff. And probably Necromunda is another game, not only the board game, but also for the video game side of things. I'll be getting back into playing Necromunda, as well as Warhammer Underworlds online. And then, of course, the new Blood Bowl once it's available to buy and play. It actually might be. I'm admittedly still a little bit behind on current what's going on in the hobby world right now, as well as on the video game side of things. But I'll be getting back on track with at least one video a week, likely one video and then one live stream on Twitch. That live stream I'll still break up into live clips, which may be anywhere between one live clip, likely on average 3, and if I can pull 5 clips out of it, I'll do that. So my goal is to have one standard recorded video per week. That might end up being every other week, but then also having 1 up to 5 live clips from my one live stream that I do on Twitch. If I can continue to do that type of content creation, I also want to get my Twitch schedule posted. So I also intend to get that posted, because that everything really does come down to consistency. When I was doing those regular episodes of the live streams, I noticed my analytics definitely improving. So I appreciate those that have subscribed so far. And for those that have just followed me, I appreciate you sticking around, and I definitely will get back on track here. And that's pretty much it for this episode. It was just kind of an update, those 2 specific things where I've been and what, the type of content I intend to do moving forward. If you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. That really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, thanks again for watching. I hope everyone is doing well. Be safe, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.